Welcome to Wednesday Night Soul Wanderings with me, AJ,
And me, Natalie.
and we're back at it again.
Here we
Welcome,
go.
welcome to all of those who are landing in on one of our platforms on YouTube or Facebook. We see you. Thanks for saying hello. Nice to have you guys here. As we get started, I just want to remind everyone Um, you can learn more about Natalie and myself by visiting soulwanderings.com. Has a little bit about us, Soul Wanderings. And we hang out at a cool little place during the day called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. You can check that out at vibesnow.com. Natalie and I both offer opportunities to assist you in your journey of healing on all kinds of levels in many ways. It's good stuff. We have a lot of fun.
It's such a yummy space. I just say I'm just delighted in
Yummy.
that it is.
You want to take a bite out of it?
I was driving up today to work and I said, "Oh, this just feels like going home."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything going on today, and I was like, I'm just gonna go hang out in the space because it feels really good. I forgot I blocked myself out, and so I'm like, what? A free day? What? What to do? What to do? Oh, let's just go to work. I don't know who does that, but we do.
We do.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we have a space where we can feel at home and other people feel at home when they come.
Yeah.
It it's good. So, yeah, tonight our topic is one that I chose actually because whew, what a journey in this life it has been finding my self-worth. So our topic tonight is individual worth. We're going to be talking about our self worth and what that looks like and feels like in our journeys regarding discovering ourselves and our love for ourselves and all of that good stuff.
And some human design stuff on worth because that plays a factor.
Oh, yeah, of course, Natalie will get us into the human design aspect. I'm not I'm not sure how spiritual I'll go this time, but I'm in a place right now where I am just uh, really feeling my way through life right now. The last 5 months have been a lot, and I think now that things are starting to slow down in my world, like all the things that I'm like, I'll feel that later, I'll deal with that later, I'll take care of that later, are all starting to come forward.
So you mean now is later?
Now is later, and
Ooh.
a big part of that is uh, m- just really leaning into my own worth. Like, who am I without this? Or who am I in regards to that? And so it's just really deep in my energy right now. So I thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about because our clients, even like, they're going through similar things also, right? Because every time someone comes in the door, it's about something that they're experiencing in their lives. And I feel like more times than not, it's wrapped around who they are or what all of this life means for them and how they can navigate their way through it and feel their way through their experiences. And so I just think it's a really important topic and one we haven't really talked too much about, especially as a topic. So yeah, here we go. I do have to say though, last week we talked about sound healing, and I was, we have the show, but then I kind of reflect on the topic some more. I feel like reflecting on the topic beforehand would have been more beneficial, but we just kind of go into it sometimes.
Mhm.
And there's just so much more that I discovered that I was feeling on, and how I was like, wow, we could have given some more information and more knowledge about sound healing outside of our experiences because I get a little goofy when I don't know a lot about the topic, and just like all the ways that it can benefit you. So I feel like going to revisit that topic in the future will be good, more informed, a more educated version of the topic down the road, down the road. But this one, hands-on training, baby.
Everyone is a little
Professional.
bit. We're just like, okay, well, we're giving you our best perspective that we can
Yeah,
provide organically.
yeah, definitely. So, what's your experience with individual worth and what does that look like and what does it mean to you?
So it's interesting because you were talking about, I don't know how spiritual you'll be, and then I'm getting bombarded by these concepts flowing through me that says, look, individuals. So as anyone that's listening to the show understands, I'm definitely steeped in human design. I've studied that science for a lot of years and experimented with it and worked with my clients with it. Now, the worth of an individual can vary because there's times where any given individual really isn't living to their full potential and they're part of a herd, and a herd isn't necessarily bad, but then they don't really individualize. And
Mhm.
so this just came up for me to say, we're here as consciousness crystals embodied, walking around in a body to provide a perspective, a individual point of view for the greater consciousness.
Mm.
So we're here to be self-aware and self-reflected consciousness in a body, providing an individual perspective. And so what's that worth? What's that worth to the consciousness stream? Every individual does give a different perspective. So when we're just looking at this, when I hear individual worth, and it's saying everybody does have worth. When you come into a body and you embody, you have this one incarnation to be this as you're born to be. So born on a birthday at a particular time with particular, we've talked about astrology, with a particular numerology, with a particular human design perspective. And in my experience, my ability to lean in to what I'm here to do in this incarnation, to be Natalie Peace this time around, has definitely been benefited. And I've been able to leverage it by knowing more about how I'm designed to operate. And I started with some really simpler things. My numerology 22/4, what does that mean? Oh, here's these challenges I'm going to have so that I can learn these life lessons. So these challenges, then I can welcome them,
Mm.
and then I can increase what I'm worth to other people around me by learning and how to navigate me and my skin, and live according to what the nature of the universe has said. Hey, you're here to do these particular things. And that also helped me eliminate a whole bunch of struggles that were never even mine to begin with.
Mm.
But I feel like a lot of times, and years ago, I didn't feel like I had worth. I grew up struggling with this concept of struggling with self-esteem, trying to figure out what I was worth, what's my own worth, trying to measure my worth. And
Mm.
then later in my life, I learned that I don't have that ability to measure it within myself. Now I do get a lot of reflection with people that tell me, thank
Mhm.
you so much for being you. Thank you for showing up the way that you do. So this is my just my initial thing with self-worth. I
Yeah.
do realize, because I work with people, that there is a lot of people that don't love themselves. They don't. And when you don't have a lot of love for yourself, you don't really find a lot of value. Oftentimes a value in your life or a value in yourself. And it's just a struggle to get up and out of bed and show and present yourself in the world. So those are real struggles. I've been there before. I understand. And I also understand that we can get out of that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's my first step into that. How about that? Hey, Jay, how was that for the first step in?
That's pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. I said you come in from a human design perspective, and I typically do spiritual. And today I'm like, I don't know how spiritual we get. I meant in regards to more than it already is, because just the fact that we're talking about individual worth, that is a spiritual concept, in my opinion. And um, I don't think we realize that in our personal journeys until we do, until we have an experience that reminds us who we are. And remembering who you are is a very deeply spiritual experience. Eckhart, is it Tolle? Eckhart Tolle, everyone says it different. He he talked about self-worth in a video I saw a long time ago, and he was saying something along the lines of like going beyond a conceptualized sense of self, living in a conceptual reality. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah. I wrote it in my book, and I remember like I visit my book of thoughts every once in a while, and that one just always stuck with me because I think what a lot of us can relate to more than anything is, we live in a world now that's very tech and very socialized. And so social media is in our faces constantly. I don't know what the stats are, but not too long ago, there was something that I saw like people pick up their phone um, an average of 2 times every hour just to like look on social media.
Mm,
Uh, And I think, wow, that's a lot of time on social media, which says a lot about how we are looking at the world through other people's lives and lenses, right?
right.
The damage of social media and how many times we go on there and find ourselves comparing ourselves to them and what they look like or what their lives look like. And we start questioning, like, well, my life isn't like that, or I don't look like that. And just when I bring up the word comparison, that just also is like, comparison is the death of all joy. It's a fact. It's not just a teaching. No
Mm-mm.
matter how you look at it, um, comparison is ego. It's one of the lower vibrational words and experiences we can have. And it just causes so much internal damage to a person when they have access, unlimited access to these devices, where we have that opportunity to make a decision of comparison. And I know many people go down that rabbit hole, right? Well, they have that. Why don't I have that? Well, they look like that. What did they do to look like that? And just really start devaluing themselves based on what they see, which most of the time isn't even real. And it just causes this downward world spiral. And so you start asking yourself questions, I hope, if you're doing inner work, like, how do I see myself? What value do I have? And what value does my life have? Instead of going to see what value you think their life has or what value they think they have in themselves. And you just have the ability to go even deeper when you ask yourself question after question, like, what do they have that I admire? And do I have those same traits? Do I want to be like this person I'm watching on social media? And what does that look like and feel like for me? And I bring up social media because it is like constantly in our faces and it is so damaging. There's also a lot of great things on social media to get you out of that place of comparison
Mm-hmm.
and finding your self worth. So,
It's hard.
go ahead.
It's So often it takes an extra step or two or three extra steps to realize that every person on social media has their own problems. They have relationship problems. It isn't, oftentimes, it's not their only job,
Mhm.
or it's a shooting star sort of an experience. And so, um, so we look at the numbers, and there's this thing that's like, oh my gosh, there's all these followers.
Mm,
But you take an extra step. And I remember hearing one time that some of the very popular um, influencers actually
mhm,
rent a space. That's not even where they live.
mhm,
And they make it look like that's their home, but their home doesn't look like that. They'll rent a
mhm,
space for doing shoots or something like that. So it's it's not, and think about it like looking through a keyhole. You get a 30-minute, 30-second video, a minute video, maybe a little bit longer. You're really only taking a snapshot into this person's life. And
right,
if they're articulate or entertaining, and then they're just there's just a snapshot. So it's just looking through a keyhole at someone's life. And that
yeah,
comparison tends to be, especially when it's when it feels, when you feel less than by doing a comparison with someone that you don't even know. You don't even live in the city that they live. You don't even know where
mm,
they are. That you're comparing positive attributes of this person that's on a screen to the negative attributes of a person that you live with 24/7.
mhm,
Nobody knows more secrets about you than yourself. And so you're comparing all your, little dirty little secrets or whatever that is that you're comparing to someone's who hasn't even told you their dirty little secrets or their inner world or their crazy madness inside their own head.
mhm, yeah. Every once in a while, I feel like you'll get an authentic soul
Oh,
who
sure.
does share for sure. But I wanna go even deeper than that, like, from the beginning of our lives, like, where do the thoughts and the stories come in that sabotage us in believing in our worth and the conditioning and all of that? Like, I know for me personally, and I think a lot of it is my design, my human design, being raised one way when I would have benefited being raised differently. Um, for me personally, just like feeling like my whole life that I'm just not enough. And I know a lot of people feel this way,
Hmm.
where you don't feel like you're enough, or maybe you're too much, or maybe you're not doing it right, or you're not thinking clearly, or what were you thinking at all, or being told what to do or what not to do. And it's just crazy to think of all of the ways that we are told throughout our lives that we are or what we are not, and we hold on to someone else's truth as our own instead of discovering our truth of what really is for us. And we take that and we put it in our pocket and we literally hold on to it for dear life in every situation and every experience that we have as we grow. If if we're not one of the lucky ones who get who get told as they grow up how smart they are and how what they think or feel matters, being supported in that way. And I see more parents doing that. I really love that for the kids. That's just beautiful. But for those that didn't have that, which is a majority of us, because a lot of our parents and even us as parents didn't know with our kids the importance of what we tell our children or what we teach them to tell themselves or what to believe in themselves. So I want to like go to that because that's where a lot of this root belief systems are created is when we're little. We start believing or
Hmm.
what we're told, right?
Hmm. When we're working with those types of things and going back to we're little, um, and you gain an awareness of that. So you're working through different things, listening to something like that, and you think about when your little person had got bumped into when they started to devalue yourself.
Mhm.
If you have that awareness and you can pick up just part of when they do, when you, if you have a memory of when someone said something to you, or a parent, or just one memory is enough to start work with, and
Mm,
you can remember that, then think about yourself now and how you could go in your mind's eye to that little self, pick that your little self up and put that little self up on your lap, and you tell them what it is that you wanted to hear then,
mhm,
because you're the one person that knows what you wanted to hear instead of what you heard.
mhm.
And talk to your little person. It is so powerful. I've seen it shift just through them going through someone going through a visualization where they reassure their little person. Memories are really fluid. It's fascinating to have
Mhm.
seen it over the years of working with them, how you can, when you remember something differently, it shifts.
Yes.
And then it's like it gets filed differently.
You rewrite the story.
Mhm. And then it goes into a different file. Instead of the file of why I should dislike myself, it'll
Mm,
go into the file, it's just into a different file. And
mhm,
sometimes you don't even remember that instance anymore, because
mhm,
it's written differently and it gets filed differently, and it
mm.
doesn't come up in this file of all the reasons why I should hate myself, sort of thing. We take
Right.
that file and throw that in the bonfire.
Yeah, the Bernie file. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I I was thinking of something when you were talking and I've lost it.
It'll come back.
It'll come back. You know, at some point. Go I remember the very first time that I actually had, an experience like that. I was in, a hypnosis session where they actually took me back to as far as I could remember to my little self, and I got to sit with her and connect with her and tell her everything that she needed to hear in that moment. And for me, it was a really traumatic experience where I went back to, where I got to just love her and hold her and tell her that everything turns out and she's safe. And I mean, it's much deeper than that. But I remember how profound that was for me, just going into that experience, not understanding that's what was going to take place, and just being in awe afterwards, and just like how much energetic weight I could literally feel gone off of my shoulders. And I had no idea that I had been carrying that around for so long. So we're so good at putting things away in boxes and then shoving them in closets and disassociating or disconnecting from the experience because we don't want to deal with it. But we know all things come to the surface. They will manifest in other ways, and at some point,
Mhm.
you're going to have to look at them. But that was a really profound experience for me. And I remember going, wow, I didn't even know I could go back to rewrite any story, right? Because I just always believed that when things happen, they happen. It is what it is. And, I believe much differently now. I mean, they do happen, but
Yeah.
they happen intentionally and purposefully, and I really believe that everything happens for a reason, and we don't always see that in the moment, and so we attach whatever story about our worth to the experience and create this scenario or story, which none of it is true.
Mm-mm.
None of it is true, and so Um, I think it's really sad what we do to ourselves, but we don't know until we know that we can do better and that we have choices, right? Nothing is permanent. And so we can change the story, we can shift the energy to the experience, and we can. focus on rewriting different versions, and so we're not stuck with that energy for our whole life and feeling however negative ways that we're feeling towards ourselves because of it. A lot of times, I would say, if not every time, the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves are not even our stories. It's because something happened to us because hurt people, and we were hurt, right? We were hurt by their words or their physical actions or even being a witness to something that was done. And we take that and we just, for some reason, have ownership over it like we need to. And it doesn't need to be a thing. It's not something we need to hold on to. And so I think it's really cool that you get to learn that you have the power inside of yourself all along. And if you're feeling crappy about yourself, the only way that you're going to feel better about yourself is by changing that. And so there are so many ways that we can find our self-worth, and I want to get into that here in a little bit, but let's talk about what we're talking about now. I just think it's okay. So for me personally, I've shared this on the show quite a few times. Like most of my life, I I didn't understand my worth. I just thought that, when you're a kid, you just in a broken home, you just get tossed around. You're like a chess piece, really. And sometimes it's not in a good way. Sometimes things happen and you kind of get lost in the shuffle. And so for me, coming from a broken home, like just being split between families and um, I don't want to call my parents out. My parents are amazing now. I think, when kids have kids, they're also still growing up. And so there's a lot of things that take place there. But, my whole life, I didn't have social media. So I wasn't comparing myself in that way. I was just really not nice to myself because I just didn't know that that was a choice, I guess. Because when I would speak up, like, kids aren't supposed to speak up. They're supposed to not talk, they're supposed to listen. There's a lot of toxicity when we were growing up, like, kids should be seen, not heard, or, things like that, that just are really unhealthy ways to raise your children. And anytime that I spoke up, like, "I don't know what I'm you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. You've never experienced that," like, things like that. And so those things soak in, and whether you take them as truth or not, there's still energy that is just hanging out inside of your body. And then as I got older and being a girl, and guys will fight me on this all the time, and you guys have your own experience. I've never been a guy, so I don't know. But as a woman, you also have a lot of negative experiences about your worth based on how you look and how you act, if you're acting like a lady, if you're dressing like a lady, and if you decide to dress like I remember there's a time in my life where I just dressed really like I I just dressed how I felt comfortable, but when I was told like, "Oh, those shorts are too short," or "Your skirt is too short," or "You're showing too much cleavage," or whatever it is, then I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I better hide myself because
Mhm.
I make you uncomfortable." Like, so things started happening as life, and so you just downsize yourself, downplay yourself, kinda hide away, and then that just becomes your identity. And so that and a series of, like, oh geez, 100 other experiences I've had in my life really took me on this journey of, if I'm not lovable, why should I love myself? And I really found myself in this, uh, horrible place where I just didn't even wanna look in the mirror, or I didn't wanna talk because my voice was annoying, or whatever story I was told. So, I made myself small. Once I started doing work and really being, like, more confident in who I am and confident in my skin and loving my body where it's at, and being more successful because that kind of energy attracts more positive energy, then you start going through like imposter syndrome. And like, I don't deserve this success. I don't deserve this recognition. I don't know why people are looking at me like that when they're just admiring me for who I am. And it started making me really uncomfortable. So then I pulled back again. And it's just been this ongoing journey where I'm good and then I'm not, and I'm good and then I'm not. But what I've come to find out is, uh, having self-worth is not linear. It comes and it goes, and when it comes to the surface where you're not feeling like you're enough, all that does is give you an opportunity to shine the light on the dark parts that you're feeling. Like, "Oh, this has come to the surface. Let's look at this. Is this true? Do I really think like that? Do I really sound like that? Do I really look like that?" Whatever it is that's coming up for you, it gives you an opportunity to heal.
That was so good.
Just what it is. I mean, listen, I was feeling on this topic, and there's a lot of things I really want to say, and also I find myself not saying a lot of things because they're triggering. Maybe for me, I don't know, but I feel like maybe for someone else. And is that a good thing? Like, do I want to trigger them so that they can look at it, or do I want to just keep it simple and let it be what it is? And I think for me, that's all I'm gonna choose to say at this time. Not because I'm playing small, I just in respect and consideration for what may come up for myself and for others,
Sure.
keep this on the light side of things because I have gone really dark when it has come to this. Natalie, like,
Mhm.
this has been a journey for me, and it still is a journey for me. And I really struggle with self-worth, and it's not because I don't love myself, and it's not because I don't see myself in beautiful ways. It just, like I said, it comes and it goes. And that's just part of healing anything, any aspect in your life. I was just stood in that line where I was like, I need to learn this lifetime, and this is one of those things I get to learn. So,
There's a lot of okay, so there's a few things I want to just cover. I want to touch for a minute on how truth. So one of the things that you said that maybe people will contest. I don't know for sure, but it's very possible that they might contest the fact that it says, oh, but if something happened to me that devalued me, it's true that this thing happened. So I
mm,
want to take a step back and say, okay, that there's an event that happened, but measuring truth, we as an individual human have no ability to take in the whole perspective of all factors that were ever involved in any one given situation. We don't have insight to another person's thoughts, feelings, motivations, what drove them to particular behavior, all the
mhm,
different factors that go into this fabric of life that we're living in. So those types of things aren't factored into when when we're creating the memory file.
mhm,
So the things that we will file in our memory file are limited because there's only so much that gets filed in it.
mhm,
So that's just a thing that says, look, about this thing being true, there's no way to have complete truth. So it's fluid. So
mhm.
with that little logical argument that I'll lay out that says, look, then it is fluid. Oh, look, it's live. Like, oh, I forgot. I am so good at doing that I just usually silence my phone completely. And that time, no,
It's okay.
which which doesn't mean anything about me. Not trying to prove anything, right? Okay, so the truth part that said, look, there's all these different parameters and perspectives and different things. And so then with that, why not rewrite it? Why not take this opportunity to revisit and realize that that we didn't have everything factored in to the situation? And
Mhm.
perhaps you don't know how to rewrite it. You don't know how to measure it. That's okay. That's okay.
Mhm.
So we're not going to lay out at this moment. I'm not going to lay out like step by step by step by step things. There are a lot of ways to do that. If I were working with any given person, I start with where do we measure our value and look directly at the human design chart, right at the heart center, which is where ego and willpower and self worth reside. And some
Mhm.
people have a consistent sense of a consistent ego, consistent self uh, willpower, the ability within their framework to measure worth. And then some of us don't have that. And so measuring the value of our life is something that can be that you can do in a more precise way, knowing what your design is. But if you don't know what that is, then we're going to look at society's measures. Society measures things based on your level of success, the amount of money in your bank account, the in the place where we live, with the predominant religion that's around us. We have a society it's a very common thing where we live to be measured by how many children you have, how many grandchildren and great grands you have. It is a culture thing.
Mhm.
I have this many grandchildren, this many great grandchildren. It's a very common thing for people to talk about that. And then sometimes that can be a devaluation. You feel like I just don't have my own worth because my family isn't like that.
Mhm.
So there's all these factors that are societal factors. And then sometimes we just go right to the end of our life and say, huh, well, on the deathbed, what's the important thing? Am I going to wish that I did this thing or that thing? So sometimes you could just go right to the end of life and and contemplate that aspect. There's lots of different ways to that we slip into judgmental nature measurements that were imposed or given to us or just fed to us by a society. So if my bank account isn't big, I grew up in a family where I wasn't an individual. So let's just talk about my Natalie's life. Okay. I am one of 9 children. I was number 4. So already when I came in, I was the 4th child. There was no individuality in there. It's not like our parents said, okay, we're all dressed the same. It's just that you're in a group. You're just like that. You don't we didn't really get one-on-one time with mom or dad. It was always a shared experience. So then there wasn't even this individual, and we didn't have a lot of money. And so I remember going to school where dressing and fashion seems to make you worthy,
Mhm.
and not being able to be as fashion oriented because my clothes were secondhand, and having that affect my sense of worth is like I
Mhm.
can't dress like other people because I can't buy those clothes. I'm always somewhere other, so I have a different sense style about it because of those things. There's all these measurements that are really like given to us.
Mhm.
So this is not cut and dried and simple, because we're fighting against all these dynamics that are just given to us that in the world that we live in.
Mhm.
So this isn't the easiest thing, like you were saying. There's going to be triggers that maybe come up, and and even these further questions to say, well, how do I value myself? That's good questions. It's good questions. And there's a lot of people out there that have constructed a methodology that just says, look, let's just start with the statement, you're enough. You're enough.
Yeah. I use that quite often, especially during days or even weeks where I'm struggling, and I put a lot of expectations on myself anyway, and for me, having them look and be a certain way is, like, just part of who I am, and if I fall short, I remind myself, "It may not be what you expected, but it's enough. It's more than enough, and so are you." It's like a constant voice inside your head to remind you, uh, you know, which is one of the things where I said I wanted ways to come back into your self-worth or get in touch with your self-worth. That would be a really good one. That's
Mhm.
definitely on my list, is just reminding myself that I'm enough, I'm perfect, whole, and complete just where I am right now. That it
Ooh,
doesn't
say that once again.
I am enough, I am perfect, whole, and complete just as I am right now.
So the beautiful thing about having a statement like that is you can just replace the "I'm not enough," and blah, blah, blah. That voice in your head is running a script, so run a different script.
I really believe in one of the ways of developing your self-worth is challenge your negative thoughts and beliefs. So when you start feeling anything negative towards yourself, the way you look, the way you act, the way the experience is going for you, remind yourself in a positive way of something opposite of what you're feeling. So if you're feeling like, oh, I look so frumpy today, this outfit is so old, instead, I'm going to rock this outfit again. And it's okay that I don't have the newest, most trendiest, whatever. This is who I am right now, and I am good enough just as I am right now. So challenge your negative thoughts and beliefs. It's really important to switch the narrative. As soon as you think of that negative thought, switch it to a positive. Like catch yourself and change it right away so that negative energy doesn't stay stuck inside of you.
Mhm.
Clear it immediately.
Oh, yes.
The other one I feel like would be really important if you're practicing ways, um, or practicing or challenging yourself, I should say, is to practice um, gratitude and compassion for yourself. Like give yourself some grace.
Mhm.
Nobody, nobody is perfect and nobody has it all together. Like give yourself some grace, have some compassion for where you are at, and stand in gratitude for where you are at. Don't even compare yourself to like an older version of you. Like you're not even there anymore. Stand in gratitude for who you are and what you are in this moment. I think gratitude shifts everything.
It really does.
Mhm.
And if you don't believe it, you can Google. They've done gratitude experiments, um, but anyone can do their own gratitude experiment.
Yeah, it's such a vibe. Gratitude is such a vibe. Gratitude has changed my life. On days, especially when I am physical pain, I have been known to get frustrated with my body and what it can't do because I want to go and do all of these things. I have to remind myself I can breathe. I can still breathe. I have life inside my body. My heart is still beating. I can walk. I can move easily. Like remind yourself of all the things that you do have. Recognize your strengths. Recognize your achievements. Like there are so many ways that you can show yourself self-worth by just reminding you who you really are and what you're capable of.
So let's talk for a minute about achievements. Um, because recognizing achievements, sometimes I've experienced or had conversations with my clients about, well, maybe they have a to-do list,
Mhm.
and on their to-do list, they just don't have the energy for that. And they're not really engaged with the to-do list because frankly, a lot of our to-do lists don't really, doesn't necessarily mean that we want to do the things that are on a to-do list. And depending on how a to-do list is created, there's different, and so
This whole thing is filled with to-dos. And you know what? Some of them are from last year. And you know what? I still love myself. I'm still successful.
so having an accomplishment, there's times where, and this is an aspect of understanding your particular human design, because it does help like finesse the gratitude. So when I was talking to someone that was a generator, and his energy just didn't want to do things on his to-do list, but his energy wanted to go dig up his backyard, and he worked for a couple hours out there and in his backyard and accomplished something in his backyard. And I said to him, "Did you write that on your list so you could cross it off?" So this is what I'm saying is the accomplishments is what you have done in the day. And
Mm,
since I work with a lot of people that are in difficult places in their life, then I tell them, look, you're going to be patted on the back that you got up today, you got dressed, and you interacted with people. And
mhm.
some days that's the biggest accomplishment of them all, because you really didn't feel like getting out of bed, because life hits us hard from time to time.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where that is grace. That's a
Mhm,
simple form of grace to say, okay, I got out of bed.
mhm. And you just do what you can do
Yes,
without beating yourself up that it didn't look or be a certain way.
right.
I had
Yeah.
to do like that yesterday. I had things that I had to get done, and if I got those done, then there are other things I could work on. And the had to get done really did have to get done. Like I had put it off for a few extra days already. But my day yesterday turned to and I was not in the greatest place. And I had to be okay with what's one more day. I can do it tomorrow. It's okay. It's already past when I had expectations of having it done. No one else knows what my checklist looks like. And today's a new day and I got two of those things done. Is it all? No, but there's tomorrow. And I get to be okay with that. I think it's really important when you're developing your self-worth that you do things that you enjoy and that you're good at. And sometimes life happens and there's things that we have to do, but sprinkle in the things that you enjoy. Like reward yourself with that, even before you do the thing you don't enjoy. Like give yourself a chance to get excited over something and feel good about what you've done. Even if that's like get out of bed and make a PB&J for lunch instead of, you know, something like a salad that takes more time and energy. Like the fact that you're just standing and feeding your body is good job. Way good job.
So I hear a lot of so there's an underlying current in what we're talking about, which is loving yourself like you would love another person. And a lot of time, oh, see the face. AJ's face is like, oh, but I can love other people hard.
No, I struggled with this for so long, and every time someone would say, "You can't love someone else until you love yourself," and I'm like, "That's ridiculous. I love hard." But until I really truly loved myself, the way I loved others was way different,
Yeah.
way different. And so now when I hear that, I'm like, "Okay, I get it." But before I was like, "That is so not true. You're saying I'm not capable of love?" Like, I get so defensive, like, I can love you and not love myself. The fact of the matter is it's not the same. It is not the same.
It's
It
not.
does not work the same.
No.
I think the most important love you can have for anyone in the whole entire world is for yourself. Like, you first and foremost, love yourself. Find worth and value in yourself. And, speaking of, like, loving other people, it's really important when you're on a journey of finding your worth is surrounding yourself with supportive people,
Mhm.
like or a person, someone like your cheerleaders, like your friends who are going to remind you how amazing you are, how talented you are, how smart you are, how beautiful you are. Whatever it is, like surround yourself with people who make you feel good about yourself.
And generally that means that there are those people are ones that feel good about themselves, and they can share that feel goods with themselves.
Yeah.
And it isn't that they feel good that they minimize the people that can lift themselves up can lift other people up as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's so good. And mostly, if I could say anything at all, stay off social media. Stop comparing yourself to others and stop comparing yourself to what others present their lives to be. Nothing is real on social media. Very little is real on social media.
At a minimum, like change your feed, like practice changing your algorithm. It's funny to work with social media algorithms. For some reason now I have baby cows being born and baby goats and baby sheep and baby chickens. And I'm just like, this is sort of my algorithm is like barnyard animals.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I remember, when I was going through a lot, it was, several years ago, just being really frustrated where I was at with my body because of the health experiences that I've had and just really comparing myself like why do they get to walk around so easily and why can they eat whatever they want and why this and that, right? Just a lot of just really negative thinking and it took me so dark and, like, I pulled myself out of that. I pulled myself out of that because I didn't love the way that I felt, and if you're not loving the way that you feel, the only person at the end of the day that you can rely on is you. Like, you're the one in your head, not anybody else.
Mm-mm.
You're the one that you go to sleep with at night. You're the one who wake up next to every morning, like, it's you, and if you wanna feel better about yourself, you get to do the work to do that. When I say have a support team, like, let them support you and love you through your journey, but never rely on somebody else to fill your cup. Never rely on someone else to fill your cup. I say that twice because it is a recipe for disaster and unmet expectations, and you will never be happy. You will never love yourself. Don't give that love to yourself from yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes you need to go outside and look up at the sun, let the sun wash you, put your feet somewhere where just you can empty out the negativity. Like touch the earth. The earth's a big deal. She's a master recycler.
It's very true. For me, it's a bath or a shower. Like
Or
water
that. Mhm.
water is my jam. Like if I'm just feeling icky, I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower. Even if I already took 2 that day, I'm gonna take another one because it just washes away all of the energy and all of the negative emotions that you're feeling. It makes you feel renewed. It also is one of the most powerful energy sources for your body, spiritually, energetically, physically, mentally. It's so good.
Oh, and drink more water. Pay
Drink
attention to what you
drink
consume.
your waters.
What you consume as far as chemicals and chemistry, because that really does affect our brain.
As
Our
I
brains
said
actually are
every day. Working on
we're
it.
highly affected, highly affected by our moods, and our hormones are affected
Mhm.
um, by what we consume and take into our body, and monitoring that can change the way that you physically feel, which thereby changes the thought stream, and then it doesn't feel as toxic.
Mhm.
These are sound really simple things. It isn't necessarily it is not needed to completely overhaul your life
Right.
to examine your self-worth or
Yeah.
to understand it. Hey, do you want to talk about overinflated self-worth, individual worth?
I mean, there's a flip side to every coin. So,
Yes, I just came up and said, what about those that think they are a lot and they're just writing checks that they just can't quite cash?
mhm.
We just roll our eyes and move on.
Stay away from those people. They're not good for your mental health.
Mm.
Yeah. Just feeling on this, for myself personally, I brought up gratitude because gratitude has been one of my biggest teachers, and grace, like giving myself grace, like I said earlier. But the one thing I didn't mention that I feel like is really important is forgiving myself for not knowing then what I know now.
Oh,
I think
right.
forgiveness, I mean, we say forgive the other person and set us free, but I think the most important person to forgive is yourself. It's part of the self-love journey. It's just loving yourself a little harder. And a lot of times that has an experience of forgiveness that goes along with it. Like just because you treated yourself one way before, you know better now. So forgive yourself for what you didn't know.
Right.
It will set you free.
It it definitely will. And there's no time machine, so people will just rehash the past, waiting for a loophole, and there's no time machine.
Mhm,
There's no way. I mean, there is a way because we talked about it in the beginning of the show. We can rescript a
mhm,
memory. We can rescript. There's different ways to rescript it and write the story differently.
mhm.
Um,
Definitely.
and
That's
and
the
that's
beautiful thing is nothing is permanent. We can rewrite it
nothing.
all.
All
Uh,
of it.
yeah, definitely. Ooh, individual worth. What a topic. Do you have any final words before we say goodbye tonight? Put me in my
I
feels. Okay, I was already there, but
it's true. So me personally, I have, it may sound counterintuitive, but because I have studied my own personal design, and through understanding that I don't have an innate way to value
Mhm,
myself, I will have a tendency to undervalue myself. Now, that's not the easiest thing to see within my life, but over the time of just taking this language and watching myself, I do have a tendency to undervalue myself. I don't always give myself the time off. I don't always
mhm,
allow myself just in lots of different ways. And I understand that I can't measure my own worth just because I don't have that within me.
mhm,
So I don't measure it anymore. I don't worry about it anymore. So I will say this to myself: I am worthy and I'm worth it just because I am. That's it. I just am.
yeah, you
And
don't
it's
have
really
to have
helped
any
me.
for the mere fact that you exist, for the mere fact that I exist, and for all of you out there, like, literally put your hand on your heart. You've got this big, beautiful heartbeat under your chest. That matters. The fact that you are here having this human experience matters. That is worth all on its own. Like, feel
Mhm.
that heartbeat. You are a miracle, not not because of your achievements, not because of how other people see you, not because of all of the things that you checked on your to-do list. Like, literally, you matter and you are worth it just because you exist. You're a miracle, and don't forget that because that in itself is powerful. And if that's all that you need to remember as we end this conversation, take that with you and remember because you exist, you are worth, you have worth, and you matter.
I love that.
I love love. I love loving myself, especially coming from a place where I didn't know how.
Right.
And I want that for all of you. And the reason why we chose this topic is um, because of my personal journey that has been a big struggle in my life. But also, most of my clients come in crying, literally crying, because they don't feel like they have any value or worth. And it's just not true. We all have worth and we all have value and we're all important in this experience.
Well said.
Amen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Gratitude. Well, thank you for wandering with me tonight. That was lovely. And Wanderers, look at you being so active in the chat rooms tonight. Thank you so much for your participation on Facebook and on YouTube. We are so grateful to have you here every week. You guys matter to us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that your journey to self-worth is big, huge, substantial, and extraordinary. And we'll see you all next week with a new topic. And same time as usual. We show up.
We do.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you.